show up, right? And I think you have more depth in the lineup than we even really think right now because Jay's going to continue to rotate everybody in. He has proven that this year, that he is going to allow a lot of guys to have an opportunity to show what they can do, right? Milam's going to continue to get more at-bats. He looked really good at shortstop, looked really good at second base, right? Braswell, for whatever you want to say, he swung the bat better this weekend. He had the triple, and he had some big moments at the plate, right? Now, the defensive plays that Milam was able to make at shortstop and at second base, I think maybe raised some eyebrows like, oh, wow, this guy could maybe be a little bit better than we thought at shortstop position. But Jay is going to continue to rotate those guys. Ashton Larson's a huge recruit, outfield recruit. He hasn't played yet. They're going to get him in there. Kucherak, who's a freshman shortstop, Jay wants to get him in the lineup more. You have all the catchers that have rotated in and out, right? There's only 2 or 3 guys that Jay has shown that he's going to keep in the lineup every day. Tommy is one of those guys. Bear Jones has been one of those guys. And for the most part, Travinsky has been one of those guys. And, Paxton Kling's starting to figure it out. Paxton Kling is now, listen, you don't have to make your presence known just by getting hits.
No.
Paxton this weekend got on base. As a leadoff guy, as a guy who can run, as a guy who is athletic.
Batted 9-hole and 1-hole.
You want that guy to get on base. And he did that this weekend. He's getting hits. He is walking. He's getting hit. He's putting himself in an opportunity to set up the guys behind him to drive him in. And so I think you're starting to see that, and you're going to continue to see that. I don't know if you're going to see a lineup solidified till maybe middle of the SEC, maybe later than that.
They have enough to do it this way. Like last year, they had 8 guys who had 150 or more at-bats on the season. And the 8th guy was Bear Jones, who we basically didn't see play like the last month of the season.
Right.
I think this year you may see 10 to 11 guys with 150-plus at-bats on the season, which shows you how much depth they have and how much they can kind of interchange these guys and kind of keep rolling them in and out.
Yeah, and look, at some point, the lineup is going to, you're not going to have 4, 5, 6 different guys every lineup, towards the end of the season. At some point, you would imagine that's going to get, okay, and maybe you have 2 or 3 guys that kind of have this little bit of a rotation. But, with Pearson being able to play outfield and infield, I think that gives him a lot of options. Milam being able to play second and short and probably third. If they absolutely needed him to. And being a switcher, that gives them options. And then you have, Braswell obviously is a shortstop. And then you have
Neal who can switch hit from both sides.
You have all the catchers.
The season's always going to season itself, right? You're lucky already just even through
season's always going to season itself.
2 weeks of the season.
Ceiling is the roof.
Well, you get 2 weeks of the season,
No
you've
doubt.
seen everybody be pretty healthy too.
No
We
doubt.
haven't thrown that in it as well. That's going to happen. Where, we don't know, but you're not going to go through 56 plus
Right.
with everybody
Right.
that you started this thing with.
Right.
They've been very lucky so far, and hopefully they stay lucky for longer than anyone else in the country.
Ethan Fry's had a couple starts, right? He's been in the outfield. He has a potential to play first. He was a catcher coming in. You just have a lot of guys doing a lot of different things, and the season's going to season, right? And that's a really good way to see it. It's going to continue to evolve. I think what is very pleasantly surprising for me, we talked about all the lefties. All the lefties, and they're throwing well. Most of the lefties they've thrown out, they have thrown really well. The question was what righty is going to step up out of the bullpen to be their go-to righties outside of Guidry. Because you know what you're going to get with Guidry. We talked about Aiden Moffitt. He's looked really good in his outings.
Yes.
We talked about Bucknam. He's looked really good.
got hit a
Actually,
little
we
bit.
haven't really talked much about
He
Bucknam.
got hit a little bit this
little
but
bit.
he still looked good.
Right, he looked good out there. Obviously, Christian Little has come and done some things. Obviously, there's some up and down there still, but he has done, he has the ability to get guys out. But more so than him, I think you got Ulloa. Obviously, he's been one that Jay has said, okay,
Yeah.
I count on you like I count on Guidry right now.
Hey, listen, that's 3 of them right there, too. You just named outside of Guidry, where you're like, boy, if I can get quality innings out of those 3 guys, this game gets real short real quick because I got a million lefties that I could match up if I just needed to match them up. I got 3 good right-handed arms, and I still got Guidry behind him. And I'm hoping that at least 2 to 3 to possibly 4 of these starters could give me 4 to 5 to 6 innings.
We didn't even talk about Dutton yet, right? And we talked about Sam Dutton last week, but again, he looked good again. Like he's just –
You've got 3 extended starters in a
You've got a lot of guys out there that can do a lot of really good things.
Ackenhausen.
Lefty.
No, I'm talking about 3 extended guys that if you get to only 4 1/3, where you're like, all right, I have a guy
Griffin
that can throw
Herring
3. Griffin Herring, Ackenhausen, and then I think Sammy is kind of in that same build of he can give you more than just get me out the inning.
Right.
You know what I think you're going to see too, especially if for some reason those Friday night, Saturday night guys get into trouble, is you'll see
a quick hook.
Why? Because, all right, if I got this many arms that I know I can Johnny Holstaff with on Sunday, then I'm winning these games for sure if I can. And I'll extend these guys as much as I can. And when I get to Sunday, I can Johnny Holstaff it better than you can.
Yeah.
And this is with the 4-game series that we're basing this off of as opposed to a 3